Okay, I've never been chased by the cops. I don't have any funny stories. I'm here to tell you about the book called The Age of Conversation. My name is Drew McLellan. I own an advertising agency here in Des Moines called McLellan Marketing Group, and I blog at drewsmarketingminute.com. So back in '07, I wrote a blog post about Wharton University and how they were allowing people to crowdsource a book. So basically they put the book online and anybody could add content to the book. And so I wrote about it and I asked the question, is this the way publishing will be done in the future? So a friend of mine named Gavin Heaton, who's a marketing guy in Sydney, Australia, put a comment on the blog that said, hey Drew, I think we could do that. And I foolishly said, okay, let's Skype about it. And next thing I knew, after about a 30-minute Skype, we sort of on this lark decided we were going to see if we could get 100 marketing bloggers to contribute a chapter to a book that we would sell for charity. So all we did to attract the bloggers was to put a blog post on my blog, and within 6 days we had 107 people signed up, all of whom actually followed through with their promise and participated in the book. And by the way, these thoughts about crowdsourcing a book I think work for any sort of crowdsourcing, and as more and more of us are collaborating and working together, I think these tips about how to crowdsource well are equally applicable regardless of what the project is. So although I'm talking about a book, and now today I'm talking about a series of 3 books. There's Age of Conversation 1, 2, and 3, and between the 3 books we've donated over $40,000 to charities around the world. Which we also of course didn't expect because we didn't ever think we'd get 100 bloggers. So, but here are some things that we learned. And the first lesson that we learned is be very clear about your rules and expectations. By luck, we played this well in the beginning. We had decided from the very beginning that we were going to write this book for charity, mostly because we didn't want to mess with trying to get a bunch of people $12.50 and figure out how to handle all of that from taxes. So we just said, you know what, we probably aren't going to sell that many books, so let's just donate it to charity. Well, we had every author sign a release giving us the rights to their chapter and them acknowledging that we were not going to give them any money. Well, about 2 weeks before the book got published, we had created a forum so all the authors could talk to each other. And a couple of the authors raised the issue of, now that the project had gotten going, they really wanted to make some royalties from this book. And there was quite the firestorm amongst the authors. Some people were indignant that it had even been raised. Other people were like, oh, I could use some extra cash. That wouldn't be all bad. Fortunately, we were able to very quickly say, no, remember the rule. The rule is you signed a document. No money is going to anybody. And in fact, Gavin and I fronted the front-end costs, so we didn't even make any money. Actually, we paid to do it. And we were able to sort of stop the firestorm, because that could have been a disaster. Second thing is the 80-20 rule. When you do a crowdsourcing project, 20% of the people are going to do 80% of the work. And no matter what you ask of them to do, about 20% will actually do it, and the other 80% are in it for the bare minimum, just like in every project that we've all done together since grade school when you did the whole project and the other kid got the A2. So you just have to know when you're asking people to do work, be realistic about how much you're going to get out of the crowd, because you only can count on about 20% of them. Another one is, the third tip is, sooner or later, this is not a committee decision. So someone has to own the project. When we were in the middle of the project and people were starting to talk about different aspects of what they wanted to do, it would have been very easy to let them go on and on and on. So in book 3, for example, we allowed the authors, at that time almost 300 authors for book 3, we allowed them to vote on which charity should get the money. And they picked a charity, a great reputable charity that if I mentioned their name you would all recognize. And so when we reached out to those folks, they were a total pain in the ass about us trying to give them money. So one of the things they wanted us to do was to guarantee in writing that every blogger, and now keep in mind we're talking bloggers from over 15 countries, every blogger would refer to their charity in exactly the right way and use the trademark. And we just said, we can't do that. We have no control over that. And by then we were established. I mean, we had already given away $20,000, $30,000. So, you know, it wasn't like we were talking about chump change to them. But anyway, we made the executive decision that we would go to the next charity on the list because even though they chose this particular charity, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for the book. So you can't always do everything by group decision. The fourth lesson I will tell you about is however you think the project is going to be in the beginning, I guarantee you it will not be that at the end. Because one thing that happens when you add 100 or 200 or almost 300 people to the mix is they have a tendency to have opinions. And they want to participate in the decision making. So when Gavin and I first conceived of the Age of Conversation, we were talking an ebook. And that was it. And about 10 days before we were ready to release the ebook, again in the author's forum, they were like, it would be really awesome to have a paper book, a real book that we could give to clients, that we could sell on Amazon, that we could show to our family and friends, because for a lot of these people, this is the book they're going to ever author. And it was a big deal. So all of a sudden, we were 10 days out going, crap, what do you mean a real book? We don't know how to do this. We both have full-time jobs. So all of a sudden, we had to figure out how to publish a book. And thanks to Lulu.com, we were able to put together a hardback and a paperback and an ebook, which we've now done for all 3 books. So when I think about what in our head the project was and how it came out to be, we had no idea it was going to be what it was. So that's lesson number 4. And lesson number 5 is, in your crowdsourcing, where you really need to invest your time is in the relationships, because you will be stunned at what those relationships bring. So in the 4 or 5 years since we did Age of Conversation, I have been hired by some of those folks. I've hired some of those folks to serve my clients. I have had some of them stay in my house. I've stayed in their houses. And we decided, what would be fun? Let's throw a party in New York City. And let's get everybody to come from all over the world. And I'll be damned if 100 of them didn't show up for the entire weekend. And that is from relationship. And now some of these people are my closest friends. None of which I thought, when I sort of casually said to Gavin, yeah, we can try it. Why not? Let's hop on Skype. So what happens in crowdsourcing is much bigger and broader than the project itself. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit like giving birth, that when you're in the middle of it, you don't ever want to do it again, because it's like herding feral cats. To get everybody to do what you want them to do on the deadline and all of that. But I will also say that both personally and professionally, this little project, not only have we donated almost $40,000 to worthy charities, including Charity Water, by the way, which is our current charity, but we have really changed the landscape of how people think about marketing bloggers. This is being used in college classrooms. The people who are in this book have now gone on to write their own books and use this as the launching pad. We've made relationships and connections all across the globe. 15 or 20 countries are represented in these books. So the project is far more than I ever thought it would be, and well worth the herding of the feral cats. So anyway, that's my story. You can buy all of these books, by the way, on Amazon.com, and thank you very much.